What's up, everybody? My name is Tim Roswick, and today we're going to talk about how to use fear to your advantage. So fear is something we all face. It's something that stops a lot of us from doing some of the things we want to do, whether you're a game developer, graphic designer, musician, whatever it is. Fear can stop you from doing the things that you want to do. I know it's definitely stopped me. There's so many things in life that I wanted to do that I didn't do because I was scared. And there's still things that come up and I have to second guess myself and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't do that. And then I have to kind of override my thoughts and say, I need to do it. I need to make it happen. And the way that I do that, especially for bigger tasks, because if you're just facing something like a yes or no question, it can be simple, right? Like if you got a bunch of courage, you could say yes and just do the thing. If you don't, then you say no and you back off. But sometimes life throws us bigger, more complex tasks, right? Like finishing a game. Sure, you want to say, yes, I could finish a 2-year, 3-year game, right? Sure. But that decision is going to require a lot of follow through, not just the in the moment yes, right? You can say yes, but then you get burned out 6 months later, then you got to finish it. The deadline comes up, a bunch of stuff goes wrong, and you can get scared of stuff, right? Fear can kind of come in and stop you from doing things. Be afraid of what people are going to think. You're afraid of it not selling well, afraid of all this different stuff. And I know for me, whenever I've confronted my fear, the things that I've been afraid of the most are usually the most rewarding things that I've ever done. So I use the channel as an example for a while, but we'll take the channel. When I started Game Dev Underground, the channel, not the site, because the site started years ago, but some of the same concerns were there. I was scared. And let me tell you specifically what I was scared of so we can kind of walk through what I did and how I got over the fear. I was scared of, one, I had never made a game before. Or I think I made Rocket Redneck at that point. That was the only game I made. And I thought people were going to be like, who the hell is this guy? Like, why is he making videos about game development when he's never made a game or never made a good game or whatever? So I was afraid of that. I was afraid the people in my family were going to talk me out of it. They're going to say, Tim, don't do this or whatever. And I was afraid of, I guess, putting myself out there. And like, I guess it's kind of the same fear as number one, but like being online, being on camera, being a personality, I felt a little bit more vulnerable than I did just hiding behind my computer. So one of the things that I did that looking back now was really, really beneficial. And I don't remember where I picked this up. I know Tim Ferriss has a similar thing to this called fear setting. He gave a TED talk about this, but I'm pretty sure it was before that TED talk. But what I did was I took my fears and I thought about what it would be like for them to be real. I just walked through the worst case scenario of my fears. Like what crazy shit could happen. I could post a video and somebody would write some mean ass comment and people would send me mean emails and I would get tagged on Twitter and just a bunch of crazy shit would happen. And I kind of went through that in my head and I was like, okay, what would that feel like? And I realized it would be terrifying. It would be scary. It would hurt my feelings because I, still got a little bit of introvert in me. I'm not always super peppy and happy to interact with people. So negative interactions and conflict kind of stresses me out sometimes. And it would suck. It would suck. But I was still okay. I was still good. I was still alive. Still my bills paid. I still had, all this stuff. It's not that big of a deal. And worst case scenario, everything would fail and yeah, it might impact me, right? Like if I put work aside and I don't take on jobs and stuff for freelance and do all this stuff and I focus on this thing and then it doesn't work out, yeah, I might be in some trouble. But one of the things I did is I looked at all of these worst case scenarios. Like, okay, I might not be able to pull this off financially, right? Like if it takes so much time for me to put in, that's time that's taken away from my current business, like doing stuff for clients and stuff like that. And that's money that I use to pay the bills. So it might not work out for me financially. People might say bad things, right? They could really hurt my feelings and say some shitty, nasty things. All those things can happen. But what I did was I took those and I worked backwards from them to either prevent them from happening or to be equipped to handle them when they did happen. So financially, one of the things I did early on was I enabled monetization on the channel. I started a Patreon, right? I started an Amazon affiliates thing. So I get commission when I talk about products. A lot of things like that. So I thought backwards and I said, okay, if this doesn't make money, I can't do this sustainably forever. So I have to at some point be compensated for my time. Otherwise, I have to spend my time doing client work, right? So I thought backwards from that, and I figured out a way to monetize it to where it would work. I'm not 100% there yet, but it's working well. We're doing well. I have goals for that we'll talk about in a different video. But same thing with the mean comments. I knew the mean comments weren't going to be preventable, right? It's not something I can stop. I say, guys, don't talk bad about me on the internet. That's not going to work. So rather what I did is I prepared myself for it. One of the things I was super hypersensitive about was somebody saying, Tim, why should I listen to you? You've never had a successful game, right? Like I was super hypersensitive about that because like, that's true, right? I've never had a successful game. Why should people listen to me when I talk about how to make a good game? Like that makes total sense. So one of the things I did is I made that super clear. I made that super clear. If you go back through a lot of my videos, you'll see I say that a lot. And I'm not trying to say it for any other reason but the fact that like I want people to know that. I'm not trying to hide that. That's not something that I'm like trying to like get over on you, right? Like it's just an insecurity that I have that you know, has surfaced. And coincidentally, I think I made plenty of good games. And the problem with that question now that I realized that I didn't realize back then was that success is drastically different for everybody. Like success for me is drastically different than success for someone else. You have to determine what success means. Is it a financial success? Is it a user success? Is it a number of people? Is it a point in being? Is it a number of games that you created? Like, how do you define it? What do you define as success? And I realized a lot of my games really are successful. And I realized that a lot of people see me and my games as successful now, ironically, even though I don't see them that way myself. And it just kind of dawned on me that tackling all of my fears has kind of led to everything that we have now. All the community, the YouTube channel, all this stuff. And had I not sat down with my fears and worked backwards from them to prepare for them or prevent them, we wouldn't be here right now. So whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're scared of, if it's people, if it's rejection, if it's, you know, poor sales, if it's, you know, being homeless, taking a risk on a video game. And first of all, you should never take those risks. You should, you know, do what I'm doing and work backwards and figure out how to prevent that stuff from happening. That's the point of this video, is like, whenever the risk is too big, like, you know, think how to reduce the risks. Think how to hedge your bets. Think how to backtrack from something and prevent the worst case scenario from happening. Now, I don't really think there's a worst case scenario, right? Because I've kind of, everything that I thought could go wrong, I prepared for or I prevented. And I'm still always doing this. And I've used YouTube as an example because I feel like it's the best example, but I do this a lot with games. I do this a lot with my social life and preventing people from doing the things that trigger me or you know, whatever. I do this in business, where if I'm afraid deals are going to fall through or people aren't going to like me or whatever it is, you know, I prepare for that. I either prevent it or I prepare for it happening. And it depends on whether or not you can control it. And if you can control it, you actually absolutely should try and prevent it. If you can't control it, you absolutely should be prepared for the situation to happen, because there's no point in worrying about the things that can happen or might happen if you can't control them, right? So figure that out. And so that's what I do. That's my process. I tackle fear head on. Like I said, it's not always super straightforward. Sometimes you got big, long, complex projects that you're scared of, big things that you're afraid to get done, crazy long time scales, and that's perfectly okay. But make sure you look at what you're scared of, figure out why, and work backwards and figure out how you can prevent it or prepare for it. And whatever you do at that point, you're good. You're good. There's no point in being fear. Now, you're still going to need the courage to take the step, right? Because you may have worked it out in your brain, but that doesn't mean that your brain's going to be like, okay, go do it, yay. It's still going to be like, whoa, wait a second, you know, a little hesitant to do this thing, a little hesitant to try this. But you need to try it. You need to step out of your comfort zone. And I love our community because I see so many people in our community step out of their comfort zone, and it always makes me happy to see that. It always makes me happy to see people trying new things and addressing their fears, because I know what a challenge that was for me. So that's all I got for you today. I hope you found it useful. If you did, leave me a thumbs up and a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Once again, my name is Tim Roswick, and I will see you again tomorrow.